Have you ever felt like you had to prove your worth over and over again just to be seen or loved or chosen? The root might be in healing a father wound. The absence, inconsistency, or emotional unavailability of a father can leave an invisible mark on everything that you do, your relationships, your confidence, even how you receive love. Hi, my name is Asha, and I help Black women and women of color heal deep emotional wounds that occurred because they didn't get the love from a parent when they needed it most. For me, healing my father wound was the gateway to freedom and it unlocked a life I didn't know I could even live. In this episode, I'll share why a father's role is so important for your identity, what a father wound looks like, and how to know when you're ready to heal. I've guided many women through this process, and I want you to know that you are not alone. By the way, sometimes when we have father wounds, we are scared to express our needs and we don't actually tell ourselves or people around us what we want. And so I created a 21-day needs journal to help you get back in touch with what it is that you actually need so then you can express it to your friends, family, and community around you, and you can be met with the love that you are looking to receive. I'll share the link for that journal at the end of this episode. The role of a father is really, really important as we develop as children. That father archetype really helps us with safety, validation, and worthiness. And if we don't have a strong figure in our lives as children, we often have issues as we grow up and even into adulthood with safety, validation, and worthiness. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. My father was always really present in my life, but there was instability and emotional unavailability as I was growing up. So he was present, but he wasn't nurturing. He was present, but I always felt like I had to earn his attention or earn his resources. I had to earn my way into being taken care of by him, as opposed to a father just taking care of his child because he chose to have a child. Research has shown that fathers really help children build self-esteem. They help with emotional regulation. They help with secure attachment. And they also help children take healthy risks to go out there and explore something new or to meet new people. Let me start at the top. Building self-esteem. I remember reading this book called The Art of Loving by Eric Fromm, and it was discussing the role of mothers and fathers and how children receive love. Typically from mothers, children always feel like they're going to be loved because we've come from our mother. There's a certain kind of a bond that feels like we don't have to earn that love from mothers. Now, I get not everybody has a great mother relationship, but this is what this German psychologist had written, and it kind of makes sense, right? There's that attachment that's already there, and that's natural. But because we don't come from the body of fathers in the way that our mothers carried us and then gave birth to us, there is an external validation that we seek from the father. There is an acceptance that we try to get as children from the father. If you have seen little kids that look to their dad for approval and they run to their mom for that kind of coddling and that safety. And that's why both roles are very important. So early on, children learn to build self-esteem, maybe when the dad takes them to the playground or tells the child that you can do it, you can do anything, because it's that external validation that helps to build that child's sense of identity. Fathers can also help children emotionally regulate. Fathers will teach children that it is safe, that they are protected because the father has your back. If you grew up with a father that didn't have your back, you might have a hard time emotionally regulating because maybe you didn't experience that safety limit or that protector. I think that emotional regulation becomes much easier when you know that it's going to be okay. And if you didn't grow up knowing that it was going to be okay, it makes perfect sense why you would spin out or have really high highs or really low lows, because you don't feel safe because nobody taught you how to feel safe or taught you that it would be safe. Fathers also really impact our role in secure attachment because fathers typically leave and come back. They're the providers and the protectors. When a father leaves at the beginning of the day and then comes back, it teaches the child that it's okay for the father to leave or for anybody to leave because they're going to come back. when we don't have that role that is met, then we might develop an idea that they're not coming back. And so then we hold on and either become anxiously attached to the people in our lives where we're worried that the shoe is always going to drop or that they're never going to come back or that it's never going to be okay. Or we become avoidant and don't want to attach to that role at all because we want to maintain our own safety and protect ourselves. And if we get attached, that means danger. And also, you can also oscillate between secure attachment and anxious attachment, depending on the situation and depending on really when you've decided that you've had enough of this pendulum swing, you can very easily go to the avoidant attachment and just detach from people completely. Fathers also help children learn how to take healthy risks. Fathers are typically more playful and they get down and they roughhouse with kids and they throw them in the air. And fathers are usually the ones going out there saying, like, you can do it, you can do it. And when the father role is present, when the healthy father is present in a child's life, it teaches the child that it's okay to try new things because if it doesn't work out, that role, that protector, that provider is always going to be there. And if you haven't had that, you might not be as comfortable taking risks because you're not sure if the foundation is going to be there. So if you have grown up with an absent father or a toxic father or an abusive father, you might struggle in these areas, and that's not a judgment, it's just a fact of life. So let me give you an example from my own life in terms of risk taking. I guess people would probably look at me and say that I've taken some risks. I moved to Portugal, I quit a full-time job, I did all of that stuff, but there is a part of me that is not nearly as adventurous as I would like to be because I have this fear that the foundation is going to fall out. My father was emotionally manipulative, but also financially manipulative. Even though he was around and he was present in my life, I used to have to negotiate between my parents and ask my dad to pay for school clothes or to ask my dad to pay for sports or even asking my dad to get me food to eat when I was hungry. And he would often say, oh, no, that's your mom's role. That's your mom's responsibility. Or she didn't give me money for you to do that. And I remember asking him, don't you have your own money? But he didn't want to spend it on me, like literally actually told me that it wasn't his role or his responsibility to actually provide those things for me. And as a kid, when I had to negotiate between them, I was really negotiating for my foundation. And I didn't even understand the impact that it had. But what it taught me was that my dad was not going to be a provider. He was not going to be a protector, and that I had to find that security and safety someplace else. And so now as an adult, it manifests where it's hard for me to trust people. I feel like I have to have it all together on my own because if I receive something, even like money from clients, or if a friend wants to buy me dinner or lunch, there's a part of me that goes back to that time when I was a kid and says, this is not safe. Either they're going to take it back or I am going to owe them, or I'm just going to be seen as weak because I'm letting someone give something to me. And that developed because I learned as a protection mechanism, it was better not to need anything from my dad than it was to ask for it and to be rejected. Or if I got it, then it would be used as a manipulation tool later. Like, I paid for you to get school clothes. Now this is what you owe me. Or I paid for books. Don't ask me for anything else. And if you've been a kid, if you're watching this video, if you have children, you also understand that kids are expensive, lives are dynamic, we need things all the time. So having to negotiate for things that were typical expenses as a child really jacked me up in a way that I didn't understand because it makes it really hard for me to receive and it makes it even harder for me to ask. So now I have to really think about how I show up in relationships, not just by what I'm giving, because the giving is easy. The giving, I would rather be the giver than the receiver because that feels like more control and protection in me. But as I've been on this healing journey, I really recognize that it's important for me to receive, one, because I deserve to receive, but also two, because it allows other people to give. And those are the kinds of relationships that we want. In my romantic relationships, of course, I want to be in this mutual give and take kind of a relationship. So I have to really think about, what am I bringing forward from my childhood that's a protection mechanism, and how do I actually want to show up today? So any of these things can manifest. It can be not trusting a relationship structure, not trusting your friends or your family or your romantic partner, feeling like it's really hard to emotionally regulate if something happens in a relationship and you're spinning out and going all the way from one side of the spectrum to the other side because you're not sure how to trust in the middle that everything is going to be okay. It's not even that you trust the other person necessarily. It's that you trust yourself and your ability and your skills to re-regulate and to be okay. Another way that this father wound can manifest is carrying guilt or shame. Often, in my experience, which is not clinical psychology or anything like that, but just life and observation and my intuition and all of that good stuff, what I have experienced is typically when women have father wounds, we have a hard time with boundaries because we are trying to please that role that we didn't get in our lives as children. And there's a subconscious belief that if we can do enough, if we can make it okay enough, then we'll receive that protection or that love or that guidance or that structure that we didn't get when we were children. And so often we will cross our own boundaries seeking that love, seeking that validation. We often carry guilt or shame because we think that what we want is too much and that we shouldn't need as much as we want. And the reason why that happens is because that provider didn't show up for us as a child. And naturally we thought, oh, I must be wanting too much if I need something and they're unable to provide it. Obviously, that's not true. And maybe it's not so obvious because these are subconscious beliefs, but I'm here to tell you, you're not too much. Your needs are not too strong. It's just that they weren't met by a key role in your life when you were younger. And so the story you developed is that you were too much, your needs are too much, but that's not true. And that's why it's really important to begin to heal this father wound so that we can engage in relationships in a healthy way, that we can learn how to express our needs, that we can meet people who are willing to meet us where we are and help us to grow together in beautiful connections and relationships in all areas of our lives. Now, I know that particularly if you are a high achieving woman, if you have experienced the level of success, and if you don't have anyone around you who has been working to heal their father wound, this may seem like something you don't need to do, or maybe a door that you don't need to open because you're successful already. But let me tell you why it's important. That emotional dysregulation that you feel, those feelings of unworthiness when you step out and present yourself in a new kind of a way, particularly if you're an entrepreneur, particularly if you're meeting people and wanting to date them, particularly if you find yourself holding back your needs and your wants in a relationship, it is really important for you to begin to heal this father wound so you can see yourself in a new light. You need to be able to express yourself, to use your voice, to really understand that you are not too much, that you are just human, and that all parts of you deserve to be seen and heard and validated as a human. It is time for you to start living in joy and to start living in possibility and to stop living from this position of protection, of protecting yourself from hurt, of protecting yourself from somebody seeing you too deeply, from protecting yourself from somebody actually seeing what your needs are and being able to show up, because that's scary. That feels like vulnerability because they could choose not to meet them, or maybe they won't meet them. And I'm also willing to bet that there is some pattern of asking people to show up who are unable to, and that's because you're trying to heal this cycle. You're trying to close this cycle that didn't get closed with your parent, but you have to begin to heal it and close it in yourself first so you know who to trust instead of asking the people that you can't trust to show up in a way that they're not able to. My question for you now is, what has your experience been with the role of a father in your life? Have you noticed any ways that that relationship has shown up or manifested in the relationships that you have now or in your feelings about yourself? Let me know in the comments below and I will be sure to reply to you. So, how do you know when you're ready to begin healing the father wound? You will know when you are feeling like you're stuck in old stories and that those old stories are very present today and are stopping you from moving forward and acting the way that you want to act or being in relationship in the way that you want to be in relationship. When you feel over and over again like you're not enough or like you are too much, when that deep feeling of insecurity just is, you're just ready to erase it. You're just ready to be done feeling this way, like you were lacking something. When you're ready to stop proving yourself, and when you really want to develop that self confidence and that sense of self so you can go out and engage with the world in the way that you have always wanted to be seen and heard. At some point, you will know that you are ready because you want freedom. You want freedom from the past stories. You want freedom to show up how you want. You want the freedom to express yourself in the way that you want to. Let me tell you a couple of stories. When I knew that I was ready to heal the father wound, I really just got sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's almost like I have this dual consciousness. I can see myself from up above and see all the great and wonderful and amazing things about myself. And then when I see myself from the inside, there's that level of insecurity that I have or that lack of confidence that I have. And I know exactly where it comes from. And at some point I was like, look, Asha, you can see yourself from the top down and you know that you are magical and you have all these great things to offer the world. And if you just step into that version of yourself, so many things will change and you will feel so great. But then I was also being pulled back in the other direction by this very human experience. And I said, if I can see myself from above, then that version of myself is available to me. And I no longer wanted to be my own sort of greatest enemy. I didn't want to be holding myself back. I wanted to have more belief in myself that anybody else had in me. But I had to learn to develop that because I didn't grow up with a whole bunch of confidence, because instead of my dad building that up in me, he actually did things to actively destroy it in me. And I decided I didn't want to be beholden to that anymore. I didn't want that to be my dominant narrative. So essentially, I got sick and tired of being sick and tired and realized that I wanted to do something different. I was also talking with a friend of mine a couple weeks ago, and she had a similar relationship with her father figure. The dynamics were a little bit different, or the circumstances were different, but the wounds were still the same. And we were talking about wanting to call in healthy relationships and starting families and wanting to break this cycle, not just from the father, but also how mothers showed up in that way. And we didn't want to repeat the same patterns that our fathers and our mothers co-created together. And she decided, and I decided separately on my own timeline, that it was time to put an end to these things that did not feel good and to really make an attempt to rewrite the story to heal the wounds so that we could show up differently. And I'm happy to report that my friend has a beautiful little family and is making all of these great moves, that she is emotionally regulated, that she is experiencing a life that she didn't know was possible because she began to heal her father wound. And now she is ready for the next step so that she can more fully experience the love that is available to her and that is waiting for her and her family, and so that she can stop carrying through these bits of insecurity that still show their ugly head at different points in time. So when you're ready to feel that internal confidence, when you're ready to let go of the stories of the past that are still having a hold on you, when you're ready to begin expressing your needs and trusting that you can find, that you can build a container that will hold them, that's when you know that it's time to go back and address the father wound so that you can show up as the person that you want to be in all of your glory and beauty and greatness. So if you feel like you're ready to take that first step, you can begin by downloading my 21-day needs journal so that you can identify what are some of the needs that you have, and so you can practice expressing them in the world. This 21-day journal will help you pinpoint exactly where you need support, and it will prompt you to begin expressing that need with clarity. The link to the journal is in my show notes. Healing the father wound is a brave and personal journey. You will have people telling you that you should just get over it, that it wasn't that bad, that you're lucky to have even had a father at all. But I'm here to tell you that all of those things tend to dismiss your experience. If you're watching this video and if you are interested in going deeper, that's how you know that the time is right for you to begin this journey. I am happy to support you every step of the way. You can do that by joining my email list in the show notes below. And please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel for more information. Until next time.